Greetings from Warsaw. My name is Konrad Grotowski and this is News from Poland, Business and Law, a synthesis for foreigners acting as board members in Polish companies, foreign investors in Poland and their foreign lawyers. Today my guest, Szymon Kubiak, attorney at law, PhD, co-head of Wardyński and Partners Employment Practice, will discuss changes in labor law relating to remote work. But first, current picture of the Polish economy in the end of June 2021. So far, 11.5 million people have been fully vaccinated against COVID. For herd immunity, 70% of adult citizens need to be vaccinated, and therefore twice as many. That is why most companies, especially banks, consulting firms, shared service centers, still recommend their employees to work remotely. Office buildings are not teeming with life. The Warsaw office areas are deserted, and it will probably be so until the end of the year. As a result, the office space rental market is in a freezing state. On the one hand, there is very low demand for new offices. On the other hand, Polish companies are in good shape, so they are not forced to make sudden savings by subletting unused office space. The organization Gathering Shopping Centers reports that in May 2021, their footfall was 17% lower than in 2019. This worries shopping center owners, as it may mean that some customers have permanently switched to online shopping. Polish industry is red hot. Its activity is already higher than it would have been if it had continued on the pre-pandemic growth path. Poland is one of only a few countries that managed to increase its share in global exports in 2020. Only China, Hong Kong, Taiwan, Ireland and Switzerland achieved higher increase. Recently, our country has become the third largest exporter of goods to Germany, ahead of the United States. The share of Germany in total foreign sales of Polish goods is constantly growing. It is almost 30%. We have the highest inflation in a decade, 4.8%, but the National Bank of Poland, whose goal is to keep inflation at 2.5%, says this is a temporary phenomenon and caused by factors beyond the control of domestic monetary policy. Among other things, the increase in fuel prices. Poles are preparing for the holidays. Foreign trips, mainly to Turkey, Greece, Egypt, Bulgaria and Spain, are already selling at the same level as in 2019, i.e. before the pandemic. Now Szymon will speak about the changes in Polish labor law.
Hi. A hot topic recently is the proposed changes in labor law relating to remote work. In fact, so far, remote work has not been generally regulated in Polish law. But first things first. After the outbreak of the pandemic, remote work was regulated separately in the special COVID-19 Act. According to this act, to combat COVID-19, the employer may instruct an employee to perform remote work. More and more companies are now cancelling the work-from-home instructions introduced with the lockdown. At the same time, many companies are already adopting permanent changes in their working models. They usually choose a hybrid model, combining work in the office and at home. This is also favored by employees. Nearly 8 in 10 employees in Poland indicate hybrid work as their ideal choice. Various splits between work in the office and work at home are implemented. It all depends on employers' current needs and its corporate culture. A new bill was published in May. It addresses the rules for remote work, which would replace the regulations for what is now called telework. The aim is for the new legislation to come into force when extraordinary provisions on remote work cease. From the employer's point of view, the important thing is that the employer has a right to request employee to work remotely, even if this option was not provided for in the employment contract. However, this only applies in exceptional cases. But before the employer assigns remote work under the bill, the employee will have to declare that he or she has the necessary premises for working remotely. Another important thing is that the employer must attempt to reach agreement with the trade union on the terms and conditions of remote work. If there is no trade union at the workplace, then the employer should reach agreement with the employees' representatives. The employer will also have additional obligations to provide essential materials and tools for remote work and to cover the costs directly associated with the performance of remote work, such as electricity or internet access. The employer will also have to ensure proper data protection. On the other hand, the employee will be responsible for a safe and healthy workplace. A long-awaited solution will finally be implemented, an option to use working tools owned by the employee. However, this should be specified in the employment contract. It is also important that the employer and employee will be able to exchange letters, information, applications, and statements electronically. The proposed changes to the labor code are better suited to contemporary realities and technologies. They will replace the outdated provisions on teleworking and introduce new long-awaited solutions. This should give investors an additional incentive to use Polish workers to a greater extent. No doubt, new problems will arise. For example, what if an employee falls down the stairs while working from home? Is that an on-the-job accident or not? We will closely follow the progress of work on the amendment and continue to report on practical aspects of this new approach to remote working in Poland.
Thank you for watching this episode. See you soon.